We're glad to have you back. The Nigerian economy has been facing challenges in recent years, with businesses grappling with various obstacles hindering their growth and development. One of such challenges is the fluctuating interest rates set by the Central Bank of Nigeria. On Tuesday, the CBN raised the monetary policy rates by 150 basis points to 26.25% from 24.75% the previous month. What is the potential implication of this decision on the Nigerian business environment? For more on this, I'm being joined by the President, Chairman of Council, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Gabriel Idahosa. Thank you so much. Good afternoon. It's good to have you on the program.
Thank you.
Yes, I'd like to start with this increase that we saw on Tuesday after the two-day meeting by the Monetary Policy Committee. First is, how would you react to this? Were you expecting this increase, talking about members of the business community and what we've seen in recent times?
Well, the business community did not want it, but clearly from the trajectory that the Central Bank Governor has set in its attempt to manage inflation, it was clear that he was going to continue in that trajectory and hopefully achieve some amount of success in fighting inflation with this movement, steady movement in the MPR. So we did not want it, but I would say most of the people in the business community were realistic enough to expect that the CBN governor the committee will do what they did. So that's perhaps the realistic way of answering that question, which is like we knew it's not something that we could avoid, so we saw it coming, but the impact on the business community continues the same part of the very large increase in cost of borrowing, and of course, to some extent, scarcity of funds to lend because you still have a high 45% cash reserve ratio. So businesses are definitely affected two ways. Cost of borrowing is high, the funds themselves are scarce. So even if you were able to borrow at about 30% today, not everybody that wants to borrow and is able to borrow at 30% is getting the kind of funding they need. So that's where we are sitting in the business community.
Cost of borrowing is high, but let me ask you this: we see a little bit of decline in the figures of inflation. That I think month on month. So my question really would be, maybe that is why the CBN thinks they are on the right track. Maybe they think because of this decline we witnessed, I think in 2 months now, month on month, do you think that the Apex Bank is doing something right at the moment?
Well, like we said, CBN has set itself on a trajectory that it hopes we achieve some of the results. Now, there was some reduction in the inflation rate down the road. The governor himself has said that he expects that we'll begin to see the impact of this policy as we approach the fourth quarter of the year. Inflation start going down. It is early days of the signs that inflation is actually going down. But the cost of doing that is enormous on the economy. The cost of this process that he has embarked upon is extremely expensive for the economy in terms of cost of borrowing. Our growth rate certainly is going to be impacted. We probably cannot reach the high 3 point whatever growth rate. We're hoping to see 3.5, probably more than 3%, more than 3.5, approaching 4% growth rates at the beginning of the year after we were settling down from the fuel subsidy removal and the convergence of the exchange rate. As we're recovering from that, we thought that growth will start to pick up. But with this happening now, it could still succeed. He hopes it will succeed. We hope it succeeds. But the big price we are going to pay is a lowering of the growth of the economy until perhaps next year, when we start to ease off on the regular hikes in NPR that we are seeing now.
Just like many would say the CBN has a lot to grapple with at this time, on the other side, many would also say that members of the business community also have a lot to grapple with. Energy prices are not looking very good at this time. Inflation, we've talked about that before, and now we are adding this. So what is the story of a business person at this time? Mr. Dausa, you deal with them directly. What's been that story at this time?
Well, perhaps two words for it is rough weather. All businesses are going through turbulence, and that turbulence is getting higher, getting harsher and harsher as we have these increases in MPRs. So businesses are being stretched to their limits of resilience, their limits of imagination in strategy and re-strategizing, of finding innovative ways to remain in business. A lot of businesses, both small and large, have not been able to cope. So we hear of the very large businesses that are very visible, that are moving out of the country or selling out to management buyouts or divestments. These are the signals that at that level, they find that can no longer cope. At the big level that are visible and you hear the announcements. Then there are hundreds, if not thousands, of smaller businesses at the medium and small scale level who do not catch media attention, who are quietly closing a shop, and the founders are now have joined the labor market looking for something to do or doing part-time work here and there to stay at home. So that's the big picture of what this mix of policies we have had since June last year. And the big picture is all businesses are struggling. Every single business is struggling. It doesn't matter which sector, all businesses are struggling. Those who are staying alive are using the best of their strength and their capacity to find short-term measures to stay afloat. If you are in business today, that's the story.
Well, that's really worrisome. So looking ahead, what are your any quick wins for government? I would like to ask that. Then we talked about the fallout of the policies that in a matter of months we start to see growth. In your view, how soon will that start to happen? What do you? For how long are we going to wait before we start to see all of this positive? And what sort of conversation should we also be having around trade? We know that the FX rates for exchange at the customs has been fluctuating. All of these issues affecting trade. So what sort of conversation are you expecting moving forward?
Yeah, the conversation, first part of the question is quick wins. Yes, we have begun to see quick wins. And what we have said is government should try faster those quick wins, particularly reduction of public transportation. We have begun to see CNG buses in a couple of states that have actually significantly reduced cost of public transportation, and the people in those states that use it are saying so. So that is a quick win for government to put a lot of energy into the CNG program, have thousands of buses coming out, and in every state in Nigeria, people saying that really and truly cost of transportation has come down. That is a quick way that the government should and can drive aggressively, because public transportation impacts on food prices, impacts of cost of commute to work daily by every Nigerian, whether you are employed or self-employed. So that's a quick win. Again, it's not just the federal government, the state government, the local governments, anybody and everybody that can invest in the CNG bus, the vehicles value chain should rush into it. And so that we begin to see the value of that in a very big way. If we can push that, then of course, a lot of other things can come around that. But that perhaps is the most important quick win we can talk about. Individually, the states are trying to push in that direction, getting a lot of traction into public transportation costs. And if we can really succeed in that, government can say, yes, We have not been able to reduce the hardship in other areas, but yes, we can beat our chest and say now, wherever you are in Nigeria, your cost of transportation has gone down, in most cases lower than before the removal of fuel subsidies, because the CNG buses are far cheaper than even prices. So that is the big quick win that we want to encourage all levels of government to latch into. If that happens, you may also see food prices coming down, because a lot of the transportation is done by those vehicles that can use CNG buses. You may also see some improvements in the quality of life of people, because they will be paying far less to go coming to work. And so that's, I would say, is a very big thing. There may be a few others, but the one that will impact every Nigerian is that, because you travel. Even at that time, even if you have a car, you can decide to put the car at home, because there's a cheaper, much more comfortable CNG bus on the road to work. And here in Lagos, of course, for the few states that are drawing metro lines, Lagos, Abuja, if you live in any corridor where a metro line works, either in Lagos or maybe Abuja, your cost of going to work is much lower now. So, but how fast we can see more of the metro lines come on board is a big question, because it takes so much to put the metro line on board. Here in Lagos, we are hopeful that the red line comes on board very soon, and we have a larger proportion of Lagosians being able to say now I can go to work at a much lower, much more comfortable cost of transportation. I think that's where we can really look at very significant quick wins that every Nigerian can see.
Interesting stuff. One word from you before I let you go. The directive that BDC operators need to now reapply for their licenses is generating comments all around. I don't know if you like to comment around that. What do you make of it?
Yes, it should generate comments, but it is the right kind of comments. One of the reasons we found ourselves where we are now, that at some point in the history of the central bank, BDC's licenses was absolutely misused. At one point, we have over 5,000 or 5,700 BDC licenses. And it's not a secret that some individuals have 3, 4, 5, 6 BDC licenses just for the sole purpose of collecting foreign exchange from central bank. They have no offices. They were not involved in importing or exporting anything. They were not buying or selling FX to retailers who have FX to sell or FX to buy. They simply collected these things every week, kept them, and then ordered them until the price of FX went up, and they came out to the streets to sell them through their cronies. So it is important, extremely important for Nigeria, just as important as the removal of fuel subsidy, that our BDC industry be completely sanitized. It needs to be completely sanitized. But in sanitizing it, we should not, as it were, kill a fly with a sledgehammer. And that's what the BDC operators are saying. There are genuine BDC operators who are professionals in the business who should be retained and encouraged. But the general principle of the guidelines are correct. In any economy, there is no economy that allows BDCs to run riots and make a total mess of foreign currency markets, foreign currency management in any country. We need to have BDCs, but these BDCs should be professional, properly organized, and visible. You should be able to see the offices of BDCs. You should be able to go there and see their rates, and you should know, like in every part of the world, when they are going to a BDC, you must be ready to provide ID. You must be ready. Anywhere in the world, you go to a BDC, they will ask you for your ID, a passport, if you are doing it at an airport or any other ID. So, where we thought or regarded BDC are just parallel equal markets where I can just walk in, buy and sell foreign currency, was because of the abuse in the issuing of thousands of BDC of licenses. So the CBN is correct in sanitizing the business, but it's doing that already. It's working with the BDCs, listening to them. The CBN has amended the guidelines to take care of some of the major concerns of the BDCs, of the genuine BDCs. So we see that process here we think that process will continue. The BDCs who are genuine operators in that line of business and the central bank should continue to work to fine-tune the guidelines. And once the professional BDCs are captured in the new licensing processes, all the other BDCs should, of course, disappear from the system. So we only have genuine BDCs and, of course, the illegal parallel markets. It's better to have a proper BDC industry that has identity and that does daily reporting to the central bank anywhere in the world. When you walk into a DBC and you do a transaction, it is tracked by the monetary authorities.
All right, then, Amos. Thank you so much, President and Chairman of Council, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Gabriel Idahosa. Thank you for spending your time with us. We wish you a great weekend.
Thank you.